What's going on, guys? Murph's YT13 here, and we are back for a new episode of WWE Match of the Week and my Raw review. So let's get straight into it. To be honest, this show was completely wasted for the first 45 minutes. I thought it was a really rubbish opening, one of the worst that I've seen in recent memory. But we'll stick with it, we'll review it, we'll go through a few of the segments. Some of them will be quicker than others. But first of all, we opened the show with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins' appreciation for the authority promo, I guess you would call it. It was interesting for about 30 seconds. He gave them Apple Watches, gave them a car, brought up Kane's debut, gave him a vacation to Hawaii. I thought it was all really hokey. Nobody was really reacting. Nobody really cared. It went on for far too long. There was too many little shenanigans. They were beeping the horn. But, I think it's just disappointing that the WWE are so bereft of ideas at the moment that they have to put crap like this together to try and entertain us, to try and fill time at the start of the show. The start of the show, in my opinion, should be started with a really good match or a really short promo to set up for the main event. And on that, setting up for the main event, why did Seth Rollins make the match? He's been trying to avoid Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns this whole time, yet he sets up the match. So later on in the night, we find out that it's going to be Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns versus Kane and Seth Rollins in an ODQ match. Then we moved on to the next match. It was Big Show versus Mark Henry. This was a big yawn fest. Nobody cares. Big Show, Mark Henry, they had a little argument last week, so they had a match. Really short match. Miz on commentary just made it even worse for me because I find Miz completely unbearable. So whether that means he's doing his job or not, that's another thing. Full Ryback came out. Whatever, it's not even really worth going into. Miz says no, I don't want to have the match now because Ryback said to him, Miz, I want you in the ring right now. We were meant to have a match later. I tweeted out, I was like, no, let's do this now. Let's get it out of the way. Let's just get this crap off my TV. So Miz versus Ryback was up next after the break. I literally could not care less about the IC title now, and I mentioned it last week, it's so disappointing now that the IC title means so little again, because you put it on Ryback, which was a huge mistake. Ryback, I know he's got fans, I'm not a fan of any of these four guys that were involved in this opening segment. It was a waste of the first 45 minutes. This match, I think Ryback won because Miz ran away. I wasn't really paying much attention. But yeah, as I said, I'm just glad they got this crap out of the way. Moving right on to Paige versus Alicia Fox. Now this match, as soon as this came out and I heard the Bella's music and all this sort of thing, I thought, oh my god, this is going to be a waste of a full hour. Because there was nothing that I cared about in the first 45 minutes. And I thought, wow, we're going to get a 30-second Divas match on top of all that as well. This match really surprised me. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think Paige plays a terrific underdog. She was really, really good. She had the crowd behind her. Alicia Fox performed really, really well as well. They were really into Paige though, the crowd. The matches like this, they really do serve to elevate the women's division. This is what can happen if you give these girls some time. And if you're building up to eventually bringing in, say, Charlotte, say, Bayley or someone like that to come in and help out Paige, the NXT girls, to help out against the Bellas, that's a fantastic way to do it, but you have to not pull the trigger so quickly. Let Paige have absolutely no option, but she needs help, and then the big guns come in, Charlotte, Bayley, whoever you want to bring in, Sasha Banks, I don't care how you do it. Bring these girls up. These NXT girls need to be on the roster. But that being said, they need time and they need direction. They need a plan. If they have a plan and they get time, these girls can pull it off. Paige is great. Alicia Fox, fantastic. Great performance. Hallelujah, we have a successful women's segment on Raw for 1 week. Let's see if it happens next week. We then moved on to the John Cena Open Challenge. This is by far the best thing on Raw. I'm really glad they brought it back. They haven't done it for the last couple of weeks, I don't think. It's just been Cena's sort of promos. Kevin Owens came out to answer the challenge. I sort of felt like it may be Finn Balor. I was getting a little bit excited, but I'll explain later on why I think it's a good idea that it wasn't Finn Balor. Anyway, Kevin Owens came out. He got introduced by Lillian Garcia. Everyone was thinking, well, we're going to get Cena Owens 3 on Raw. It did smell a little bit fishy when it happened, but I thought maybe they have different plans going forward. But Owens ended up introducing the returning Cesaro, and I thought that was a good move, but it was a little bit confusing because I thought Cesaro was a good guy. I thought him and Kid were like a babyface team because they were, the last time we saw them, they were against the New Day, etc. But Cesaro came out. He got a pretty good reaction because everybody loves Cesaro because the guy is fucking awesome. He is seriously awesome, and he proved it in this match. Cesaro got a heap of offense in this match. They made him look really, really good, and it doesn't matter how you feel about John Cena. This guy puts on 5-star matches when the time is right and when he is on, which is a lot of the time. There was a ton of near falls. It was an incredible match. It really makes you forget that Cena was never losing this match. Like, you knew he was never going to lose, but you lost sight of that because it was such a great match, and that's a sign of a really awesome match. I really liked the finish too, with Kevin Owens interfering and schmozzing the match. I think that keeps heat on him because he's the guy who ruined the match. It protects Cesaro because he didn't get pinned in the middle of the ring, and it protects John Cena as well because he doesn't have to be Super Cena. He needs to look beatable, in my opinion. Super Cena, he doesn't get hurt by losing. He doesn't get hurt by having someone get a ton of offense on him. So I thought that was really well done. A few highlights. There was a few incredible spots. Obviously the feat of strength with Cesaro with the deadlift suplex over the top rope. You've got the slingshot into a stunner. I thought that was cool, but the springboard stunner looks horrible. But it was a good little spot, the slingshot onto the ropes. And the one thing that really stood out for me was the pop-up uppercut, the very European uppercut that Cesaro did to Cena. Popped him so high in the air, it was absolutely incredible, and just laced him with an uppercut. That was brilliant. But yeah, if you haven't seen this match, make sure you go and watch it because it was freaking awesome. Up after that, we had the Bray Wyatt promo. The lights in the crowd looked really cool when they panned out over the crowd. That was a cool little look. Wyatt talked about his father throwing him away or something. Wyatt can be really, really cryptic at times, and I find it personally hard to keep up with what he's talking about because he throws so many little cryptic sayings out there and things like that. It was good, it was eerie, but it was very typically Bray Wyatt. I think he needs to back it up with a big win over Roman Reigns. Later on in the show we did see perhaps the direction that they're going in. I really hope they keep Bray strong during this. He needs to win a big time feud. I don't know that it would hurt Roman at this stage. I think he's building up steam with Dean Ambrose at the moment. A little bit of a bromance there. He's becoming more natural. I don't think it would hurt Roman Reigns too much to lose this feud. The Lucha Dragons and Primetime Players versus New Day and Bo Dallas. This was a pretty standard multi-man match. Nothing too crazy to talk about. They showed footage of The Rock when he turned up on the house show to confront Bo Dallas. That gives a nice little rub to Bo. But they haven't made this guy feel special at all. They've turned him into a bit of a comedy act. But that would give him a little bit of legitimacy. But they're the sort of things that they're the one-offs, and they're trying to make him relevant. But Bo's struggling. But I really liked the use of him in this match. I thought he was really good as well. He's a good heel. They just need to let him be a little bit less scripted and more himself. It was a pretty standard match, as I said. Something had to follow Cesaro and Cena, and that was it. It was just a little bit of a filler to bring the crowd back down. Lucha Dragons and Primetime Players get the win. After that, we had Dolph and Lana going public. I didn't know quite what this meant. It could mean a number of things, but it was really, really awkward to start with. I thought Dolph, it seemed really forced. I don't know if it's just me, but Dolph doesn't really seem like he's got his heart in this, and I do not blame him, because to me it's a little bit of a rubbish angle, like going with the love, damsel in distress sort of angle. It's a new direction, and it is something for him, and it's a way to keep Rusev relevant as well. The start of it was really sketchy. but it got really quite good towards the end, and I'm actually quite intrigued. With Rusev coming out and interrupting the really awkward sort of promo that Lana was cutting at the time, introduces Summer Rae. She's still dressed like a stripper, which I didn't understand. It would have been good to see her in a dress suit or something, just to sort of throw it in the face of Lana again, but that didn't happen. Rusev says he doesn't care about Lana and that he never did. Summer Rae then went on this weird sort of spiel about Rusev, of how he's really caring, he's really soft. I think that's really silly. Rusev should be shown as a hard ass, as a really bad man who doesn't need anyone. It's a strange way to go with it, but we'll see how it goes, because it is going to be able to build to Summer Rae versus Lana down the road, maybe at Battleground. They may even leave it to SummerSlam if Lana can get some steam up. Good slap from Summer to Lana, and then Lana blew up and she was diving all over Summer Rae, so that was good. I thought this was really good. The crowd was really behind it. They were chanting yes, yes, yes. Lana really saved this segment. Really, really hot segment for her, and it's really important in her character development now to be a little bit of a badass and be a strong woman beside Ziggler instead of behind him. I think this is really important for both of them. Ziggler, obviously he can benefit from being the knight in shining armour, but I think if they sort of team up, as opposed to Ziggler constantly defending her, and make Lana stronger, she can potentially be a really, really popular babyface diva. And she doesn't need to be involved with the Bellas and all that sort of thing yet. If she learns how to wrestle and things like that, I think she can be a real player, a real force. After that, we had a backstage segment with Ambrose and Reigns. It was a nice little vignette, and this is what I'm talking about with Roman Reigns and the Dean Ambrose bromance. It really makes Roman Reigns more natural, and I think that's where he needs to be. Much less scripted and more how he is. I mean, the guy, he's a cool guy. If you've seen him interviewed and you've seen real footage of him outside of being standing in front of a camera and telling children's stories and things like that, he is a cool guy. He oozes charisma just by being himself. So they need more of these sort of things. Don't throw him out in the middle of the ring with a microphone and getting to cut a 10-minute promo. That's not his strength. His strength is fighting from underneath, like he did at the end of the show, and just being a badass, coming out and super punching everyone. That's what he needs to do. That's when the crowd's most behind him. After that, we had Neville versus Sheamus. Now, I was pretty excited. I get excited every time I see Neville. I think he's really, really good. They showed a little clip of his new comic. I don't think that's the worst idea, marketing him to kids like that. As long as they don't go overboard with it, they need to put him in a solid feud. He can't just keep being the guy who is the little stopgap between another person who's having a feud. He hasn't been able to sink his teeth into a major angle or feud yet, and I think if he can put together, a series of pay-per-view matches against a good opponent, I think that will really put him over the top. The crowd was pretty dead for the match. That's what happens when you put two guys together who have no heat. They have no issue with each other. They have barely even talked to each other other than sort of that King of the Ring match and whatever. There was a chance of boring at one stage. And JBL said the stupidest thing I've ever heard from him. He said, enjoy guys like Neville while you can, because you never know how long they're going to be around. Why on earth would you say that? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're basically saying this guy, A, has a shelf life, and B, you need to enjoy him now because he might not be here next week, or he might not be here next month. It's a ridiculous way to put over your new talent. But anyway, they need to stop treating Neville like he's just a human highlight reel. All we know about him is that he's Geordie and that he can do flips at the moment. He needs a little bit more. Sheamus wins the bro kick. This guy has seriously been so protected his whole career, and people still don't give a shit about this guy. The bro kick, you very rarely see anybody kick out of the bro kick. Sheamus always wins. He never looks weak, yet nobody cares. If they did that with someone like Bray Wyatt, it would be a completely different story. You would have a superstar on your hands. But anyway, we move on. Jack Swagger versus King Barrett. I was astounded to see Jack Swagger come out just cold, just standing there in the ring. This was his return. It was a squash match. He ate a bullhammer, and it was all over. The crowd didn't care because this was just an excuse to shoehorn Barrett into the show. It doesn't make any sense. It's just a throwaway match, not even worth talking about. We then moved on to the main event: Seth Rollins and Kane versus Ambrose and Reigns in a no DQ match. The match was fine to start with. I really didn't understand. It was a no DQ match, yet they are following the tag rules and holding the rope, and there's tagging. It eventually did break down. It just felt really silly. I just think the WWE treats us like we're a little bit stupid sometimes. I feel like they really take their fan base for granted, and we watch pretty much no matter what. If you're watching this video, you're a pretty big fan of Raw and the WWE. We watch no matter what every week. So when the weapons came out, it really got going. Roman got really fired up. The crowd was really behind him, and then the lights went out and Bray Wyatt came out, destroyed Roman Reigns. I thought it was really good timing because the crowd was right up. Then the lights went off, and then Bray Wyatt turns up. He got pretty good heat. He blew Roman apart, laid him out. Pedigree from Rollins to Ambrose after a 2-on-1. There was a little bit of a schmoz finish, but it was okay. It served a purpose. The beating on Roman Reigns after the fact really went on for a long time. It was almost like they were scrapped, but I think they went over. I think they went over time, yet they were just beating the hell out of Roman Reigns. And then at the end, there was a running powerbomb through the table. Crowd practically silent for it. They were tired. They've probably been there for 3.5, 4 hours already watching all this. It's the risk you take when you finish with a heel on top that doesn't involve a big star like Brock Lesnar. It really fell flat. The running powerbomb through the table was brutal, and there was a little bit of a pop for that, but other than that, it was a really flat ending to the show. Wyatt came back out, picked up the pieces, Sister Abigail to Roman Reigns, and we faded to black with Bray Wyatt saying follow the buzzards on his knees. I like the fact that they put that feud on top, but they really... I just feel like overall it was a very average show. Cena versus Cesaro was awesome. Paige and Alicia Fox had a good match. Lana looked good, and I'm intrigued with what's going to go on with her and Summer Rae. Other than that, there's not much else worth mentioning again. And that's basically it, guys. That's the Raw review. There wasn't a lot. They're not giving me a hell of a lot to talk about. If you have any suggestions or if you have any input on Monday Night Raw, leave it in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter at NurseYT13. If you like this video, drop a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. And as always, from NurseYT13, thanks very much for watching, and we'll be back this time next week for another Raw review.